Welcome everyone. This webinar today is all about hosting a memorable and hopefully profitable school readathon fundraiser. For those who don't know, my name is Maggie Machado. I'm the marketing director here at Get Moving Fundraising. And today I am so honored to be joined by Jim Hillier. He's one of our awesome coaches, and internally, I think we know you as like our Read-Athon king. You just seem to always be working with schools to host Read-Athons. So Jim, welcome.
Thank you very much.
All
I do
right.
a few of those. I do like them.
Yes, you do. That's why I wanted you to do this webinar with me because as much as I know, Jim knows way more. So we're going to kind of pick his brain and get some of those like insider tips for how to host a really successful readathon. Um, Today, we are going to be walking through how to set up a readathon from start to finish. We're going to be sharing some of the most popular readathon themes as well as incentives. And of course, some practical tools, some templates, some of those insider tips, like I said, basically trying to help you guys understand how to simplify the process and, of course, maximize your participation and, of course, your donations. So whether this is your first readathon or maybe you're just looking to improve upon previous years, we're here to hopefully help make it a little bit more easier and hopefully a lot more fun as well. All right, so we'll get into this first slide here. So the basics, so setting up your readathon. The first step in planning your readathon is defining your overall goal. And by this, I do mean donation goal, but we're also going to talk about reading goals because that's the unique thing with readathons is you have both sets of targets there. Um, so to effectively kind of create your overall goal, you'll want to ask a couple of questions with your group. First would be, what are you trying to support or what are you trying to fund? Are you trying to get new books in your library, fund new technology, more field trips? Knowing the fundraising purpose not only makes it more meaningful for families, but it also helps put a dollar amount to your goals. Secondly, you want to ask yourselves just like, what's a realistic goal for your students? You can base this on past participation for other school events and fundraisers. And again, when I say participation here, we want to think about not just donation goals, but also reading goals. What is achievable for your school? And then answering these two questions, you can kind of help determine your overall school donation goal. And then out of that come your individual and your class goals as well. So in this pre-kickoff phase, you also want to choose your dates. You definitely want to check your school calendar, make sure you're not overlapping with other events or fundraisers. And then based on your dates, you'll decide how long your donation period is. And I'm going to give it over to Jim in just a second to tell us more about that. Before I do, the other things to establish in this phase is to figure out if you're going to do a readathon theme. We have a ton of real life examples of popular themes here in just a minute. And you also want to figure out how is your group going to track student participation. So this can sometimes be kind of a hassle with readathons, but we're going to go over a few different ways, some easier than others, in order to track that reading participation. And then lastly, if you are using an online donation platform such as FundHub, which is what we have here at Get Moving, you want to make sure to set up your event, import your classrooms, configure your dashboard. And when you work with us, you have a dedicated coach to walk you through all of that. And with that said, speaking of coaches, Jim, tell us a little bit more about some of the basics for setting up your readathon.
Okay, thanks so much. I appreciate it, and welcome everyone. So you went through a lot of things, which is awesome. And the goals and things like that, I get that question a lot from schools. And unfortunately, I do have to say on the reading goals, I tend to tell them, look, I'm going to defer to the experts. So I tell my schools, look, get the goals from the teachers. The reading goal
Mhm.
for a first grader is much less than from a fifth grader. But reading goals are important, and you want to, use them and set them. Um, and then along that line, by the way, we're going to talk about incentives and firing them up because kids are told from the start of the year, you got to read 20 minutes every night. So that's not a reading goal. We want to make it more
Yeah.
specific and really make it fun. As far as the money goals, that's kind of where we're experts at Get Moving. And, again, we want to coach you and talk to you as a chairperson and find out about your school. I've
Mhm.
got schools where I get 85% of the people taking part. I get other schools where no matter what the chair people do, if we can get 40 or 50, we're happy. So we want to talk to the chairperson, but based on the history, then your coach, people like me and the other coaches that get moving, we'll have a good formula for you to set, like what would my money goal be? What is reachable? What's realistic? Let's not get crazy. We don't want it too low. So yeah, your coach would help a lot with those goals, and that's where you kind of want to, go to a coach. And I don't, not that you couldn't set them. You're the PTO mom, but a coach will help a lot. And
Mhm.
if I move, I don't know if I should move right back into the dates as well. You've got that as number two there.
Yeah.
Again, I go from a month. I have schools that do I love to read month, and they read all
Mhm.
month. Realistically, the teachers will tend to get a little tired of that at times. If your teachers are loving it, then great, because getting teachers involved is a really important part. And obviously, one of the best parts about a readathon is the teachers are more involved. So the dates can be anywhere from a couple weeks to a month. I wouldn't go longer than that. 3 weeks is very normal. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. And I love what you said about referring to the experts about the reading goals, because, like you said, there's already reading goals, in the school. So a readathon is an awesome way to connect it to those educational goals that already exist, and then just naturally you're kind of getting that teacher opt-in. So in that way, it's a really awesome kind of event for a school to host.
Yep. Yeah, there, like I said, the teachers are involved. And also I should, kind of pop into, so does the principal.
Hmm.
One of the biggest challenges for our, parent group leaders is, man, do we get the school? You need to do it in conjunction. And if you start with the principal, they like reading. If the principal likes it, so do the teachers. And so now they're involved. And whether it's a 1 day readathon, I mean, I've had 1 day readathons where they actually do it in 1 day. We have a big reading day at school. It's
Hmm.
fun. It kind of defers to the old fun
It's more
runs where
like
you
an
go one
event
day at a
that way.
time. Yeah, more
Yeah.
like a fun run or walkathon where they just
Hmm.
walk. But you can do a 1 day as well. But mostly getting that principal on board and then the teachers, it will get
Yeah.
then to the kids, which eventually gets to the parents. I mean, the bottom
Right.
line
Yeah,
goal
it's
here, we're
that
talking about
trickle down
goals.
effect.
Where we want to get is to the parents, get
Right.
them involved. So yeah.
Right. Well, and that's a great segue to our next topic then is readathon theme, because to get parents involved, you got to have kids excited.
That's right.
And, for what it is, a readathon just kind of on its own may not be that exciting for students. That's why you have to kind of pair it with um, a kind of way to gamify your readathon. And a way to do that is to have an awesome theme. So, Jim, as our readathon king, give us some examples of what schools have done to incorporate themes for their readathon.
Well, again, lots of them. You can have as many as you want, and I've had lots of schools do lots of them. You've got some of them listed there. The camping one was just, kind of a really fun one. Reading in a tent, and
Yeah.
setting that up. Actually, one of my schools, and I'm gonna try not to be too wordy here, but I'm working a lot in Minnesota and Wisconsin where it's cold is the other reason that
Mhm.
readathons go so well. But we
Yeah.
have readathons in the fall, not just February and love to read month. And that way they did camping right outside. They had a trail by their school and they had reading events in a tree and reading events here. And again, like you said, let's make reading fun. So
Yeah.
that was a cool one. Read Around the World is, again, you can go a lot of places here, from the easy one. It's, you know what, every dollar equals a mile. I had one
Mhm.
school that was trying to go around the world. Well, around the world is, don't quote me on this, but it's 39,000 something miles, right?
A
I
lot of
don't know, whatever
miles. Yeah.
whatever it was, that was their goal. So what a fun thing.
Yeah,
Some
that's
of them
cool.
do the reading minutes equals a mile. Some do both equal it. We've had the space themes with that out of this world or around the
Mhm.
world. Either one of those are really fun and add that little extra. And then we've had recently. some of my schools have done like the Mario thing, Mario and
Mhm.
Luigi, really popular. We had the principal in a video being Luigi and the assistant being Mario. They're riding on trikes around the school
Yeah,
and they're
they did a
grabbing
Mario Kart
coins and
race.
it's just really fun. Again, these are things your coach can share with you. All of our
Mhm.
coaches at Get Moving have done these and do them. And, I like to say on themes, Dr. Seuss is easy and there's different ones like that. But what we do there might not sound good, but I call myself the Robin Hood of Read-Athons. When one of my schools does a cool thing, I steal it and I give it to my other schools. And that's what all of our coaches do is like, hey, we have ideas and we share with each other, but our
Mm.
schools are creative, and when they do a cool one, guess what? I'm stealing it and giving it to 5 other schools.
Yeah, you really get to learn from the best of like what's working because that's not typically, a PTO in Missouri isn't going to necessarily know what a PTA in New York is doing that might be amazing. But when you have coaches that work with multiple schools and territories, you kind of get access again to kind of that insider knowledge. So that's great to bring up. Um,
Exactly right.
One theme that I loved because it was so timely is there was this whole like phase with like the Pokemon Go. And I know
Ah,
that one school did like gotta read them all. And they had
yep,
like, there's a picture there of that like Pikachu that they took pictures of him reading books and like their school shirt. So there's a lot of creative ways that you can like incorporate your theme, whether that's through like decor, whether that's through your promotions, whether that's through your incentives. Um, you gave the great example of the Mario Kart race. That was because the school reached their goal. And so they had a live Mario Kart race with, in the hallways. So that's just another creative way and goes back to getting your principals involved. It's another great
yes,
avenue to getting them involved with those incentives.
yep. The Pikachu was awesome in that, okay, here's the principal now coming
Hmm.
into the classroom. This classroom raised the most. Here's the principal with the Pikachu. The classroom gets to keep it for a day, and the principal read
Yeah.
a quick story. The reading and the money making together. It was awesome.
Right.
That was fun. Yeah, that keep
Yeah,
having fun.
both of those goals that you're celebrating progress,
That's
not
right.
just for your donation dollars, but also for your reading progress as well.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right, so talking about reading progress, let's talk about how you can track that. So you should have, before you even kick off your readathon, you really should have a clear plan for how you're going to be tracking participation, because that's key. So there are a few different approaches schools can take. Some are a little bit more traditional than others. One option is kind of the old school paper reading logs. It's very simple. You can find templates online, so it is low effort. However, the downside, of course, is papers get lost and it's just heavy on the manual tracking, especially if you want to combine individual reports to see like what a classroom has achieved, for example.
Yep.
Another option is the classroom charts. So these are like posters where students can add stickers or like marks each time they finish like a book or a chapter. It does keep participation visible. That's why I do like this. However, again, it's not like automated in any way. It's hard to share. It's just physically there on the classroom. So if you wanted to share that progress, online or something like that, you'd have to take a picture to do it. Um, and then finally, you just have like parent reported updates. So parents just like saying, hey, my kid, read for 5 minutes today. And maybe you have like an online form or it's even just through like an email thread or something like that. Again, the challenge is you can't always rely on parents to remember to do that. And you're again left manually kind of adding up participation to determine classroom and school wide progress as well. So that brings me to our preferred method at Get Moving, which is our online activity tracker. You can see kind of an instance of it here on the screen for how it is tracked for individual students. But in the next slide here, I'm going to show how it also displays on a classroom webpage. And Jim, could you tell us just a little bit more about this feature, like how it works?
Absolutely. So again, the paper tracker, it's fine, I guess, but it's a dinosaur. I mean,
Yeah.
parents now, everything's electronic. They're on their phone,
Yeah.
they're doing their different things. keep it electronic is going to be easier and better for the modern parents today. But you could see with the purple circles that you can track the students, you could track the classroom, you can track the school. I mean, it displays on each one, so it's fun to promote and advertise. And what people miss is that, okay, I sent that email link to grandma, maybe she's going to donate. Well, guess what grandma sees? Oh, I see you've read for 100 minutes. Great job. So the classroom as well, they all have that. Whereas a paper one, grandma really never knows. So you want to
Yeah.
share these things online, again, making it fun. So the online tools make this go better. The bottom
Mhm.
line here is a couple of things. Number one, we want to get the kids talking about this readathon, and we want them to do it at the dinner table. Like, okay, what'd you
Mhm.
do in school today? Well, the readathon. Don't forget, mom, we got to register. When they get registered, and then we're going to send an email to grandma. So the child's on there and she's, oh, good, thanks, mom. We sent one to grandma. And the kids are looking at how the tracking's going for their classroom. The mom and dad are on the reading minutes.
Mhm.
They're also now engaged in, hey, we forgot to send one to Uncle Bob. Could we send another one, mom? If you keep the parents and the kids engaged and having fun, you will automatically raise more money.
Mhm.
Again, I love the reading, but at Get Moving, we help you raise money as
Right.
well, and that's our main thing. Um,
Right.
but but sharing it, sharing that student page with the reading minutes right on it, as well as the dollars, and giving them that easy to click, donate button. That's what we're all about. The
Mhm.
other thing that helps with this, too, is so I work with many non-English speaking schools, or half. Some of their enrollment is non-English. So
Yeah.
my PTO, my PTA will have an event night, and they'll have their computer there to register the kids. Now
Yeah.
those parents can actually see it and have the reading minutes right there for them. And the nice
Yeah.
thing about us, we're trying to go more and more. Right now, our site flips right over to Spanish for those people as well.
Yeah. I have the translation.
Yeah, the more parents we can get involved, the better off your fundraiser is.
Mhm.
The tracker, and I've probably gotten off the beaten path here with a little bit about what we do, and I'm sorry for that. But we've got a report for reading minutes. So you
Yeah.
can announce and reward as many times as you want quickly from a report that we've generated for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got it to make it easy for all of our chair people. And again, tracking the minutes will help them track the money and will help bring in more money. But without the digital aspect, you're only mom and dad and doing the paper, and you can certainly
Right.
do both, and mine do, right? They do both at times, but most of them
Yeah, but it's harder to
love the
combine
online
that.
track. Yeah, they love the
Right.
online.
When it's digital, you kind of get both. You're emphasizing the reading goals while also
Yep,
promoting the donation.
right.
So when they're digital, it's all in one place rather than having a separate, oh yeah, bring in donations and then separate, oh yeah, turn in your reading logs.
That's
So you've
right.
kind of
Yep,
combined it into one spot. The other thing I like about the activity tracker, especially with the classroom web pages, is that teachers can update it, right? So like if
yes,
their classroom does like a reading activity, the teacher can go in and update that with the tracker.
exactly right. Yeah, in our system at least, the parents put in minutes, the teacher can put in minutes, and so can the PTO mom. Even if you have that student that says, "Well, we didn't do the online, but we were reading, and here's a check." Well, the chairperson can quickly add, "Oh yeah, you said you read 100 minutes. We'll give you 100 minutes." Now it
Right.
goes to the classroom, and they love it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
All right. So we touched on these a little bit, but let's talk a little bit more about other ways to keep students engaged, which of course is through your fundraising incentives. So they're important for any event, but similar to how a theme is very important for a readathon, I would say incentives are also very important because unless you're doing something like Jim mentioned, that like 1 day readathon where it is more of an event, you're not really having something that you're kind of working up towards like a fun run where it happens on a certain day. So that way, your incentives help encourage those kind of milestone achievements, those smaller goals you want to make in order to get your bigger goals, both donation and reading minutes. So Jim, can you tell us about some effective readathon incentives that you've seen your schools use?
Sure, absolutely. And I'm gonna tell you a little bit of a fallacy maybe that you brought up, that the fun runs 1 day in a big fun deal. Guess what I tell my readathons to do?
Hmm.
What is your big event on the last day? Are the
So
older
you
kids
encourage
reading to
that
the younger
still.
ones? Are we having a
Okay,
pajama reading in the gym? We still do a day in many of my
that's
events, and
great.
that's a fun thing to do. That's helps. Again, coaches all bring those things to you, and that's what you
Hmm.
want to do is bring those ideas. Um, so some of the things, I mean, a readathon, and again, incentives are can be based on reading, based on money. Again, I'm pretty straightforward. A minor, I want them based on money because that's why you hired me. But in a readathon, a bookmark's a no-brainer, right? Everybody
Yeah.
loves that. And after that, you get look, do something theme based. I'm in a camping one. Oh, guess what? You win a little clip on flashlight, right?
Yeah.
So anything like that. I mean, reading book lights, by the way, are used a lot. But if it fits your theme, then use it, right?
Yeah.
You can do raffle prizes and things, but that's not as effective. It can be.
Hmm.
I do raffles with our bingo readathon card, which we could tell you about. But again, if they complete the card, then they get in a raffle. So those things all work.
Hmm.
We have lots of ideas in our toolbox, but
Yeah.
again, what you don't want to forget is classroom fun. So we always encourage inclusiveness, whether it be raising money or reading minutes. When that class reaches a goal, any type of goal, and we've got lots of ideas for, well, what about this? What about that? Halfway or registering this many kids.
Hmm.
What about the classroom celebrating together with one
Yeah.
big award? So again, we're using incentives to to encourage them to take part. And some kids can't, but when you have classroom or all school, one of my favorite all schools, what about a bubble greeting? Music at lunch.
Mhm.
One of my favorites that's the worst for the janitor is a day to chew gum. Oh my
Oh,
gosh, kids
yeah.
love it.
Yeah,
Janitor does
special
not.
perks that you get,
Yeah.
yeah, as a
So any
class
kind of
together.
group celebrations. I mean, it can be as simple as extra reading time. Maybe the
Hmm.
principal comes down to the classroom and does a reading. Some of my schools will bring in authors to read.
Oh,
Again,
yeah, that's a good idea. If you had like a local author, invite
s-
them. Yeah.
celebrating a whole classroom, the whole school, as well as individuals. These are what our coaches will teach you: is getting the combination to fit your school based on
Hmm.
your time you have and the effort you can put in. Yeah, they all
Yep.
work.
All right, awesome. And those two pictures there, I just wanted to mention that one of the
Oh,
schools that did the Super Mario theme, I know that they had like the top raising students got to go play Mario Kart like in the gym. They had like several TVs and game systems set up, and they got to do that with some of the, I think like admin who like dressed up like that. So that was an awesome one. And then we have one event, I think it's live right now called Glow Read a Book. I think that's
oh
the
yeah.
name of it. And they're doing like a glow in the dark party for I think like the top raising class or something like that. But all great ideas. And again, I love what you said about tying it into the theme because this is an excellent way to do that.
Yep,
All right.
exactly.
Let's get moving right along because I do want to leave time for questions. So,
Okay.
before we kind of move into that, we just wanted to mention a few more kind of resources that you have access to if you do use FundHub. Um, Jim mentioned before we have what's called an event toolbox, and this is over like 100 resources and templates for all different event types, but we have some that are specific to readathons. So, Jim, can you kind of tell us maybe a couple of your favorite resources and how you mentor schools to use them?
Sure. I mentioned the bingo card. Basically, you're giving kids the the reading assignments that they can do that are fun. And again, not 20 minutes reading tonight. Read in the bathtub, read under a tree. We give them
Hmm.
fun ways to read. And we can do that at a bingo card. And honestly, my school, the first time I did it, bingo was too easy and they were giving out too much prizes and things. So now we play blackout with that. But an
Oh,
even
okay.
easier one is basically taking the same idea with fun reading events and making a calendar. That's
Hmm.
probably the easiest one is the calendar. Just every day, the principal announces what's the reading assignment tonight. Oh, read to a younger person, read to a pet. Oh, good. Very easy to do, right? But
Hmm.
now we've made reading fun, and that's what we want to
Right.
do.
You
I mean,
made
the
a
drop
game
every
around it, a
yeah, drop
challenge.
everything and
Yeah.
read. It's probably the old one. Years ago, I started with that one where, hey, the chimes would go off in the school, and everybody had to stop learning about math or whatever and read from their favorite book. Great way to start because the whole school checks out a book, has to keep up with them the whole time. More present times, the masked reader was a blast.
Yeah.
Um, Facebook Live readings are cool, right? So lots of ways that you can do it. And again, not to spend too much time on all of them, but contact your coach. They'll tell you how to do it.
Yep. Yep. So we have some, kind of guides and template type of resources, but then we have just all the idea resources, which are listed certainly like in some documents in our toolbox. But like Jim said, your coach, if you team up with us, is going to be your
Yep.
best resource for that.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and kind of wrap up here. So before, I will open it up for questions. So if you do have questions, please put them in the chat now. If not, we'll just go ahead and wrap up. But before we do, I did want to mention again that we have basically a PDF guide that's called the Read-Athon Blueprint. And if you registered, even if you're not here with us live right now, we're going to follow up in an email with you with this webinar recording and then a download link to get your own Read-Athon Blueprint. Like I said, it covers a lot of what we just talked about here. There are even a couple like worksheets in there, just stuff to kind of get you started and a little bit more comfortable with hosting a readathon for your school. Um, all right, I don't see any questions in the chat.
Okay.
In these last couple minutes, Jim, is there any sort of like final parting words you have for hosting a successful readathon?
Well, again, I probably repeat myself, but one of the things that I'm maybe a little different is that a readathon can be done any time of year. I
Mm,
can't tell you. I've got a number of schools. Guess what their theme is? Fall back into reading,
yeah.
right? I mean, the I love to read month is such an easy one. The Dr. Seuss, the Read Across America. Those are spring, and it is harder for schools to get money in the spring, and so we love those then. But don't be afraid to use it in the fall. Any time of year, you can do a readathon, and it will raise you money if you do it the right way, and you'll get the educational benefit as well. With more principal and teacher buy-ins, your school's going to do better. And that's what we're
Mhm.
here to try and help you with is, hey, raise more money and be better readers too. So
Yes. A
that's what we
win-win in
do.
both regards.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we did get a question in the chat that's more about kind of what we offer at Get Moving. For that, I would suggest to book an online demo of FundHub with our team because they're going to be able to answer more of those types of questions. And I will put the link for that in the chat as well right after we close here. So if you're in that chat, you'll be able to do that. But you can also access our online tour form via our website or anything like that. And that'll actually be with a coach. So it'd be with who you would be working with should you team up with us. So if you are in Jim's territory, if you are so lucky, he would actually be walking you through FundHub. So it is guided in that way. And then we can also answer any, more individual questions that you might have or anything more specific to your school as well. Because as Jim said, of course, it varies school type,
Yeah,
school
and I
size, all
might
of
be
that.
jumping ahead of the game here, but I don't want to say too much, but our schools keep 95% profit and more.
Yeah.
So I'll throw that out to you that that's a great percentage profit.
Yes.
Our
For
schools
what you
do
get
that.
with FundHub too, we
Yep.
have so
You
many
get
tools and
everything.
resources, and
Yep.
we do have it proven you rate will raise 50 to 70% more than what you typically would raise without the services and doing it on your own. And then we do have a very nice percentage for what you do keep, because we believe if you do raise it, you should keep it. That's part of our mission. Um, all right. Well, it's 12:30 on the dot. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Like I said, you are going to be receiving a recording of this webinar as well as a download to that Read-Athon blueprint. If you have any more questions for us based on Read-Athons, feel free to hit us up via email on social media. And if you are interested in booking a tour with any of our coaches, please feel free to fill out our online tour form. All right. Thanks,
Very
guys.
good.
Have a good
Thank you
one.
all.
Bye.
Thanks so much.